Well, welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to discuss being ill when you're already chronically ill, sort of being, having a cold, having a flu, and how that can affect our bodies and how much harder it is for us to overcome a cold and stuff like that. I haven't scripted this video like I normally do with more informative videos because this brain is not working. So expect me to make some confusing points. I want this to be something not only for you to be informed, but I'm pretty sure most of the people who have fibromyalgia will already know. You already know from experience that it's really hard. But I wanted to make this video so that you can explain it better to people in your family and in your life who may not understand when you have a cold or a flu or whatever, and on top of already being ill, and how that can affect our symptoms, not just during those days, but for maybe weeks throughout the illness. So in the chronic illness and disabled community online, we have a term for being ill, like a cold, a flu, that kind of illness that is very temporary and that most people have, once a year or whatever. So that kind of illness we call being Muggle sick. I don't know where the term came from. I'm sure it's because most of us are nerds. I don't know. I think it refers mostly to conditions that on their own will go away, like a cold, a flu, hay fever, things like that you will probably take medication for, but most people would just sit on the sofa for a few days and then get back to life. I don't get colds very often, which is really surprising because most people with chronic illnesses have weaker immune systems, but I don't actually get colds very often because we're very careful. I don't leave the house very much. That's probably one of the reasons. But the interesting thing is that with fibromyalgia, if you have just fibromyalgia, this doesn't apply to people who have other conditions as well on top of it. But because fibromyalgia is not an autoimmune condition and it doesn't technically directly affect our immune system, we shouldn't get sick as easily as somebody with an autoimmune disease or somebody who has immune deficiency. The thing that happens with anyone who has a prolonged illness or anything that takes a toll on your body, which ours does, is that because your body is constantly working on things, there's always something to be fixed, and your body is always constantly working on fixing you, which will never happen, but that's part of the fatigue of fibromyalgia, is constantly working overtime to make up for the nerves that aren't working properly and everything else that's going wrong. So because of that, our immune system probably will be weakened slightly. So it's always nice to be careful, and what I tend to do is if I'm flaring, if I'm having a weaker time, I will not leave the house very much, and I will try to avoid being in contact with other people, and I will take precautions and make sure that I am taking care of my immune system by drinking lots of ginger and lemon tea, drinking lots of orange juice, drinking and eating a lot of vitamin C, and a lot of things that will help me fight off illness. Another way that you can avoid or try to minimize the risk of getting microbes onto your life and onto you, if you absolutely have to travel or be outside or be out in the world, is using masks, medical masks. Some people get the ones with little filters. Some people get the ones that are just one use, like doctors use. Some people get cute ones made custom for them, which will maybe match their outfits and stuff. There's a lot of cute ones on Etsy if you want to have a look, and you want something that will you will use several times and it's cute and adorable and stuff. It's not infallible, but it is something that is reducing the risk of you getting infected. There's also some what's the word? What's the word when there's a lot of discussion about something and nobody can really agree? Okay, I don't remember the word, but there's also a lot of debate and nobody's really sure, and it's kind of an iffy ground about people with fibromyalgia doing vaccinations for the flu and things like that. I don't personally do it because I will not get vaccinated or blood drawn as more than I need to. But I find that I normally have a hard time when I take vaccinations, and my arms really hurt, and I get, even since I was a child, I've always had a really hard time with vaccinations, and it really takes a toll on me. I would get fevers and throw up and stuff like that, and I just don't like doing it. I think it's also really important for the people in our lives who are healthy to keep on top of their health, that they take care of themselves, because whenever my partner is ill or like with a cold or flu or whatever, I'm always really worried that I'm going to get sick, because he will be down for 2 or 3 days and I will be down for 2 weeks. So that's kind of the difference here for us, is that we have the days of illness like you, like with the cold, where the actual virus or whatever is taking place. But normally I start to feel unwell before I realize that I'm sick, and then I get Muggle sick, and then I'm flaring at the same time, and then I don't feel the sickness anymore, like the cold flu, but I still feel flaring and I need to like rebuild my strength kind of thing. The thing now is that my cold is mostly gone. I still have like sneezes and I still have a like uncomfortable throat and keep coughing and stuff, but I feel better in that regard. But I still feel so tired, and I still feel so like my body just feels so weak. So whenever we get sick, it takes us a long time to get back to normal, especially if we have multiple conditions. Then it's a nightmare. When I'm sick, everything else just goes off balance. Not that it's ever balanced. I feel like healthy people have like a lot of room in their balancing table thing. I don't know where this analogy is going, but you know, bear with me. So let's say that I was healthy. I have like that much wiggle room to between like being sick and things like that, right? And I feel like us with a chronic illness have like that much wiggle room, like none. We have to walk on a tightrope. I think somebody else wrote this in the comments in my last video. It's very hard for us to find a balance, because there's just so many symptoms and there's so many factors that can affect our symptoms, that it makes it so difficult to balance. When you get better, it's not because you worked more than other people. It's not because you wanted it more. I think it's just you managed to figure out what the factors were, and you managed to control some of them and some of the things that are affecting you, and you've managed to then balance them a little bit more. You have more knowledge to go forward. But the thing is, this isn't like the same for everyone. It's not one size fits all. So what helps me might not help somebody else. The symptoms of the cold are headaches, fatigue, heaviness in the, muscle heaviness, and just your body feels really heavy and tired and maybe sore. You have a sore throat, you can have a cough or a lot of sneezing, or you can have a fever, and it's awful. I don't know if you know this about fibromyalgia, but one of the things that our condition does is amplify every stimuli and everything that is going on in our nerves. It's a neurological condition, even though people think it's rheumatological and that it's autoimmune. It's not. It is a neurological condition. What happens is the central nervous system, it stops being able to communicate properly with itself. Let's say that like our brain is trying to communicate with every single nerve in our body, and it's like the broken phone game, the message leaves intact, but when it gets to the other end, it's not intact anymore. And so we have really weird symptoms that don't really make any sense, and it's because it can't communicate properly. And nobody knows why, and nobody knows what causes it, and nobody knows how to fix it. So that's where we're at. One of the things that happens with our central nervous system not working properly is the fact that it sometimes, really often, will amplify everything. And that's why we have chronic pain, because our brain and our defective central nervous system is saying that the signals that our nerves are sending are a lot more problematic than they actually are. What I'm trying to say is that because our brain amplifies the responses, amplifies what is going on, when we have a cold, we have all the same symptoms as a normal person, but our brain is saying, wait, no, everything is on fire, everything is awful, and it's amplifying all of the symptoms. What would normally be a headache turns into a migraine. What would normally be, a sinus infection turns into like a huge migraine. But the thing is with us is that once it starts to hurt, it's really, really hard for it to stop. And what happens when we have a cold is our brain is like completely in overload. We are so tired. We are so in so much pain. Our brain just doesn't know what to do, and the nervous system doesn't know what to do with that much information. So it just tells everything that it's in pain. It tells everything that it's not working, and we're just like completely out of it. Basically all of our symptoms that we already have, adding on to new symptoms that are also being magnified. So it's a really, really intense and toxic mix. And the thing is that normally these responses, they don't go away like tomorrow or the next day. Our brain is still in overload for as long as we're sick. And then it takes a while, like it takes a long time for us to get better. And there's like only so much you can do. Normally, it's very hard for us to take medication because a lot of things will clash with other things. And it's really hard for us to navigate that. A lot of times doctors are not very helpful. It's really cool to have the support of our family and to have people around us who really genuinely care about us and really genuinely want to help. A really good way to help them is to understand the illness better. Yeah, so I hope this helped a little bit. I don't know if this made any sense. I can't really remember what I've said so far, so that's a good sign. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a like and a comment and consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. If you have learned from my videos and if you enjoy what I make, you can also consider becoming a member on Patreon, where you can help support the channel and help me keep making videos and keep creating content for you. And you also get some exclusive stuff. Yes, I think that's all the things I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!